the reason why I thought about you for this conversation is in my work working with people who are taking medicine, a lot more people I'm coming across now are starting to discover their spiritual gifts. People have inklings that they had a spiritual gift, and then they take the medicines, and then the gifts are really, really coming out. They're gifts either of healing or of foresight, this kind of stuff. So the reason why I thought this is a good conversation to have with Yaw is Yaw is my younger brother, and we've grown up together. He's 5 years younger than me. And we remember, for us as a family, there's like a marked difference between who Yaw was or how we knew Yaw was. And then he started having experiences that led to him, for us, being able to align our chakras, being able to feel him energetically. It used to feel to me like a massaging of the brain. Through these meditations, I was able to feel my throat chakra for the first time. Even I've had experiences of just being with Yaw. And at first, I didn't notice that it was because I'd just been physically with Yaw. I would walk away and I'd feel quite euphoric. And then after a while, I started to be able to notice that even just being with him physically, there was some kind of energetics that was going off that would mean that when I would move away, I could feel that something in me had changed. So it wasn't just that Yaw was telling us, I have these gifts. It was the two things he was telling us and we were feeling. So when African spiritual practices started, it felt very important to me that Yaw talk about that process, what was going on, because I was also starting to meet people whose gifts were starting, but they very often didn't have the confidence that Yaw had about their gifts. And so quite often I would pass them over to Yaw so they could speak to him, find out more about their own gifts, but also that journey, that transformation from wherever you're starting off to kind of owning those experiences. So as I said before, Yaw comes under the banner Reiki Master Energy Healer. But to me anyway, it seems like there's so many more to that. So that was what led to my first question, which is kind of like, and then we'll go into the past of what is it that you do now that comes from the gifts and the abilities and the manipulation of energies?
Yeah, no, thank you for all of that. I would say it's just much of the same in some regards, but then it's not something, I don't know. It's like, because some of it is beyond like almost like logic. So it could be certain things that happen that I can't even explain in terms like, yeah, and that's I find it hard to answer such a question. It's just like, because I'll just say there's more at present that I can't explain.
Mm.
And I know that's,
you know, like back in the day,
yeah.
So like back in the day when we would have the meditations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what were you doing at that time when we would have the chakra alignment meditations and different people would feel different chakras working? For
Yeah.
you, what were you doing?
So in that regard, it's like I could, it's almost like, well, it's like I could go into like the etheric world, because it's like the chakras, they're not inside of your body, they reside in your, like, in the etheric world. They attach onto you could say your, like, your glands, but but it's like I can feel that what they would maybe call the spirit world, or that, like, that quantum world. And so from then to now, it's like the vibration itself has got stronger. So even today, at present, it's like really strong. And so it affects, like, nowadays, sometimes it'll affect my eyes. And so today it's like my eyes are quite affected by it. And yeah, just because it's like I could just feel vibration so much more. It's like there's this magnetic energy. But if you're asking about what I used to do or what I was doing, I can go into that world and then just command things to be balanced, and then go into,
you see,
yeah,
no,
and
carry on, go on.
then go, like it's almost like going into that energetic world. Like the world has many forms. Like sometimes it feels like quite like like it's like loads of particles, and then but it's almost like layered, because there can be a particle layer, there can be a layer what just feels like you're in a water world, there can be you can go deep within that quantum world, and it's like almost like geometric almost like shapes, and then you can, like, I'm not most really saying it in order, and then you can even go into even deeper realms, where it's like almost like, I can only explain it like almost like bacterial, and it's like almost like you could feel how time is like almost like slowed down, but it's, you can feel that it's slowed down but sped up in a way. It's like, yeah, it's just that it is literally what they'll call the quantum world. So there's just different layers, but yeah, typically when I'm working within, you could say that chakra layer, on most occasions, it's more in that water world. It just feels like more of a watery system. And it's just, yeah, like I say, just commanding things. It's like, if I see something, feel something, I can just command it to, yeah, be balanced in regards to the whole system. It's not like it balances to ultimate balance. It balances it within that system.
Okay. See, because at the time, that's so interesting to even hear you describe it in that way. Because at the time, because for us, you're feeling it inside your body. So it's so interesting. I used to almost imagine you with X-ray eyes, X-raying us and correcting it. I didn't actually realize that what you're correcting wasn't even in the physicality of us.
Well, it's attached to, yeah, it's attached to your physical body. It's like that. These are like what you would call like your causal body,
Mhm.
because like obviously like the law of cause and effect, you're going to have the cause before the effect. So
Yeah.
it's in that causal realm basically, and that's what we would call the quantum world, quantum world, like, well.
Right, 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 right. I've been reading quite a lot about um, quantum physics, and also the book that I couldn't find the title, Dark Light, and you sent me the title. And then he also talks about, yeah, that causal realm, the blackness of all potential. So that's really, really interesting to know. So, and this might be a crap question, but do you see it or do you feel it?
It's more feeling. Sometimes I will see certain things, yeah, and that's a lot more random than anything. But it's just a vibrational world, and as I say, and it takes different forms of vibration. But obviously, like certain times, I have seen those different realms, but typically it's always like feeling basically, and it's happening every moment.
Mm, mm, mm. Interesting. So nowadays, when people come to you for a consultation and you do a meditation with them, what do you do with them? Because I feel like things have probably changed from the early days, 2020, when you used to do the group ones with all of us. How what does it look like for you now?
Some of it's the same, but then obviously with experience, there's, and not every, it's almost like bespoke to the person. Well, it is
Mm,
bespoke to the person because of everybody's different, and so certain things will be, yeah, running completely different. Somebody else energetically, a lot of the energy might be going into things to do with their actual physical body, and then another person, it might be, it's always to do with the mind, because that's like the first point. But then sometimes it like the energies will be doing certain things more to the brain, and hormonal system. So it's that, and then that obviously that will have effects on the physical body. But some people, it's like it might just be doing far more. and then for another person it would do certain, like it's like the energies will do certain things to the brain, but then I'll see, like you could say, certain things opening up within their body. It can be certain chakras getting switched on. It can be microbiome changes because of, like, I didn't like, obviously I did before all of this, I didn't realize how, like, the stomach and the microbiome is like it's basically a brain in itself, and it's got so like it yeah, it's like recently, yeah, I had an experience. I won't go too much into it, but basically it was like to do with a change of somebody's system. But the change was like almost like a physical change. Well, it was a physical change or a nervous system change, but then there was so much to do with the microbiome of the stomach, and I could feel it like completely reorganizing itself, to do with even like the person's balance, like even just the way you walk and the way you're balanced in this world has something, like it's all like your microbiome would change if, like, you then, like, you changed your gait, the way you walk.
No, I can definitely believe that. Yeah, definitely. We have a relative, and I could always tell when he wasn't living with us on the phone. I could always tell if he was going through a period of a kind of IBS type flare up because of
Yeah,
his mood. And I would
yeah,
be like,
yeah.
"Is your stomach hurting?" And he'd be like, "Yes." Yeah.
Is there?
He's
Well, that affects your mood, it affects your memory, it affects everything. So yeah, I was, so just, yeah, little things like this, like that, I should say.
Yeah, yeah. And I'd like you to tell us, and then and then I'll move to the past. But I thought this was really interesting. In 2020, when that police person came up to you in the shop to find out about your status of wearing a mask, and your chakras did something that it never done before. Do you remember that story with the policeman?
Oh, oh, vaguely, like, but what I said about it was like eyes opening up or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. Could you tell us that story? Because that was like extraordinary.
You could tell the story because I can't really remember it properly. I can't, like,
Okay. So this was really interesting. So this is how I remember the story. During 2020, we as a family, before 2020, and I can't remember if it was a year before, 2 years before, but it was definitely before anything about COVID had come out. Yao's gifts were starting, and he was telling us different things, me and my sister. And I remember he'd had a dream or an experience where the answer was protect your DNA. And it was one
yeah,
of these things that you told us, and it was like, okay, this is important. So I think we all had it in our psyche somewhere. And then 2020 comes along. So when 2020 comes along, because we'd had that protect your DNA, I feel like us three anyway weren't at all phased by what was going on and the hysteria about masks and all the other stuff. So I, for one, I met somebody and they gave me all these cards that said I am exempt, and I had them in my bag. And I think you had maybe a bit more of an official kind of looking thing. And I remember Yao telling us about being in a fabric shop buying some fabric, and this policeman comes in and asks you why you haven't got a mask on. And as you were reaching into your bag to take out either your work thing or an exemption card, you told us that it's like all your chakras turned into eyes and looked at him, and you had no control of this. And the police person just turned around and left the shop,
yeah,
like
yeah. He
with
was, yeah,
no exchange.
yeah,
Yeah. And so you told us that.
yeah,
And I was on a bus like ages later. A policewoman came on and asked why I wasn't wearing a mask. So I just basically copied you. I went looking into my bag, but I said, Chakras, tell her to get off. No word of a lie. When the bus stopped at the next stop, without me getting out my card, this woman got off. Now, I have no connection to see what happened, But for me, it was just like, oh my God, this is, affecting reality. I don't know, speaking to her hormones. I have no idea. But I've meant to ask you about that from all those 5 years ago. Do you have any more understanding about what happened in that moment in terms of what your chakras did?
No, no, no. Basically, no. But
Yeah,
it might, right now you bring it up, it might just be a way of how to speak to agents within the matrix.
yeah,
You
maybe.
just something like
Uh,
that.
do you know, the thing is, since that story, I've used that technique loads of times. And I'm always curious because I think, why don't I ever use it about money? I never remember.
That's an aspect of visual magic, like in magical circles, like for protective magic and things like that. You would build up energy of maybe like as an example, like having angels. So you might have like Raphael at one side, Michael at one side, another angel at another, and yeah. So and then and each time that you're going out or doing certain ceremonies, you're building up those energies. And so
Mm,
any like your thoughts are alive. So any type of
yeah,
thought magic, you know, is a part of
yeah,
manifestation.
yeah, totally, totally. I know definitely since I had a trip where I was shown, um, it felt like my ancestors and how many were around me. I do like to evoke that sense because it just felt so amazing. That protective, yeah, that protective force. It felt so amazing. And I can go back to that trip and just remember just the sheer, yeah, just amazingness. But now I want to take it back to the past.
Mm.
And I know you've talked about this before, but not everybody, has heard the stories. For you, what were some of the things that started for you to know that reality is starting to change from being a normal boy brought up Ainsworth Way, going to school, getting a job, all of this stuff? How did the changes start to happen?
Well, I've said this story before, but I say it again, but I just make it like a quicker version. But basically, you could say 2023. That was maybe one of the first noticeable experience, and I say noticeable because another experience earlier in 1993 was, you could say, one of the catalysts. But going to 2020, what did I say? No, 2000, yeah, 2003. That was when I was dating a girl called Katie. And then, like I said, the story, like I said, but basically she used to come, like I used to stay at her house, but then she used to come home from working in retail. She used to work later than me. When she used to come home, I'd be waiting at her house. And then she used to like typically jump, like I'd be sitting on her, like lying on her bed, like just chilling out, watching whatever TV. And then she used to always jump on the bed and start talking about like her day, like working in Levi's in the West End, which for me wasn't the most exciting thing. But I used to just like listen, like just like listen. But was this particular day, Arsenal were playing Inter Milan, and then Arsenal were losing. And I just remember just chilling, watching the match, and then she's done the same, jumped on the bed. But as she's talking, I could just it's like I always like it's like almost like the Snoopy mouth, like the talking like wah, wah, wah,
Yeah.
that it was like she was talking, but it's all like that's all I could hear. Like it's not I can't
Mm.
really listen to her. But I'm thinking like she always like just goes in front of the TV and starts yapping. That's what I was saying in my mind. And then but within that second of me thinking that, I saw a hand which was totally see-through but made of tiny tiny particles. Like I could see like could see through it, but I could see every single detail of this hand. And it went like this and it went like that and whacked her on the head like that and then disappeared. And it was like a split second, like a fist, a thing, and like that, and was gone. Like it's super quick, but yeah, I saw every single detail of this image. And as she was talking, she was talking her usual like Faye talking, and then she just stopped as soon as it hit her and disappeared. And then she jumped on me and she was shaking. And then I was like excited because it was like, wow, like that. Like I'm just like, I don't know, like proper excited. Just then I was just like, did you see that? Did you see that? And then she was just shaking, like I felt it, like almost like a movie, like thing, like one of these like scary movies. And the way she was shaking, but it was like that paradox because I was so excited because it was like, ah, this is something different. Like obviously, like you just live in this world and everything's standard, and just to see something which was to me paranormal for me at that time, I don't know, I just found it like really exciting. And yeah, and I just and another thing was like like almost like to illustrate how real it was, because some people, like I don't know, when I told certain friends they might not believe the story, but the following day, like because of her flat she lived at, it was one of those flats where a few friends would come over in the evenings and stuff. The following day we had like friends over, and was I went to bring up the subject, and she was quite a passive like girl. And then she was like, as I've got like said the story, like, man, this is what happened yesterday. She's like, stop, stop, like freaking out. Like it took her to that moment, like, and how scared she was, like, and like all of like our friends were like looked like they're shocked because they'd never actually ever see her like this. And even it kind of shocked me, like, bloody hell, all right, that kind of thing. And yes, and when she went to the toilet, that's when I told them about what happened. But people in the room certainly believed me because of obviously they had never ever seen her reaction. And I would say that was one of the first type of like metaphysical, you could say, experiences. And then the other weird thing was that like, and it took me a little while to even admit it or even say it, that the hand that I saw looked strangely like my own hand.
Right.
And it was like
Right.
my own hand, and it was like, yeah, but I didn't say that bit for years
No.
because it was just like, I know that was my hand. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And how did it get there and become that? Yeah.
Yeah, but it
Crazy.
was, like I said, just like not like I could like just so that if any like CIA or anything, I haven't had any experiences like that before, after, or since. No one knocking on my door. But I know.
No, totally. No, extraordinary, extraordinary. And then so from that time to when things really started happening a lot, did anything else happen?
No, because that was obviously that was like years like 2000 and
2003, you were saying.
yeah, 2003. And I'll say like you could say the paranormal sort of beginnings of paranormal experiences started like most probably 2016, 17. So
Yeah.
that's like a good 13, 14, you could say 14 years later, basically.
Mm, 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 mm. And how did so around 2016, 17, what started happening to your body?
I'd say the first, like you could say, symptoms were like almost like I started getting a small vibration around my chest. And then and then I was smelling like burning smell,
Mm,
basically. And it would just be
mm,
like I'd be like sitting down, and I'm just like thinking that something's burning. And there's like those times I wasn't somebody who's burning candles or burning incense and stuff like that.
mm,
And then I'll just smell it, and then it would just be like, yeah. And then certain times, then after I started noticing, if I tilt my head in a certain direction, I smell. Then I started noticing that's when I smell more of the burning.
mm. Yeah, and I remember because for us, I remember looking up people smelling burning, and I remember like, medical stuff, it comes up that sometimes that can be sign of a brain tumor. It was like, and but because you were getting the vibrations as well, it was almost like, okay, it's something else, but it was like, but what is this thing gonna be? It was really sort of like quite interesting. And then I think for us, I say for us, I was listening with my sister, my little sister. So I feel I should say for me, what seemed to really be the breakthrough was when you went to the doctors and then you got that clear communication from, we will say, a deity. Can you tell us about that?
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. Yeah, when so
Things I
I
don't.
don't know if you thought you had high blood pressure,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I know you went to the doctors, and when the doctor saw how high your blood pressure was, the doctor recommended that you go to the hospital or you be on medication. And I remember you telling us at the time that's when a deity kind of said very, very clearly, like, get out, you're not ill. Do you remember that?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Are you sure
I should write your autobiography.
sure you're not just adding things in?
I am not. I am not. And it's why I so often I say to people when they've got a few little gifts and then they say they've got high blood pressure, I always say to them, get your kidneys tested, get your spine looked at, get your brain looked at. If those three are okay, it's probably something to do with your spiritual gift. Because so at that time, that's what they said to you, that your blood pressure was so high, it was like dangerously high. And then you received information that no, to leave the doctors, you were not sick. And I think it's close to that time when you had the experience of the God who was in the corridor,
The God in the corridor?
who told you all that information.
You have
Charlie,
to.
I know your story better than you. Okay. Do you remember when you met Anubis?
Yes,
Was
but
it
that was
Anubis?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But that
Okay.
was
Tell us that story.
when I met Anubis or Ampu. That was on when I went to Peru.
Mhm.
Yeah, that wasn't a corridor though.
No, the one. So there was the God in the corridor, and then they explained all this stuff to you about
Oh
what was happening.
no, no, no. Yeah, no, 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 I can remember that, but that was yeah. That you're mixing stories now. Okay, but I can, yeah, but you brought that thing because I've totally forgot about it. Jeez, you're
Yeah.
good though. That's good. All right, so because of that, yeah. So what's the question? Sorry.
So the question is, because from my memory,
Yeah.
soon after that whole doctors thing, it was like very close to that experience was when you had the experience. I think you were meditating and a deity kind of like appeared. So you were able to really witness this deity and you received lots of information and vibrations in your body. And I don't know if that's when you first saw the chakras, but that was
No,
like the big thing that showed you what was going on.
okay, so no, you so basically, but thank you, sister, for like refreshing certain things, but it's not quite right. But it was basically the deity that came was Horus Heru. He's the falcon god. But at that particular time, I was going through like what you could call like spiritual operations. So this is a little bit more forward. So yeah, yeah, I like for, and it still happens, but not as regularly or in a certain different way. But at that time, I was having lots of, you could say, yeah, spiritual operations on my brain, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And one particular operation, that was when you could say Horus Heru like came and he overlooked this particular operation, which I believe was a very important one because of after that, that's when I could start like going into people's chakras or feeling my own chakras like primarily, and then I realized I could feel other people's and manipulate other people's chakras. Yeah, that was like that particular time.
Yeah, because I mean, for us, it was super exciting. I'm sure other people can imagine that you've grown up with a sibling all your life. You've gone through, God, is he getting sick? No, I don't feel like he is getting sick, but it feels important to just keep hearing all these different things. And then for us, that was like the kind of breakthrough as to, oh, this is what is going on. Because before then, it was just experiences we were hearing about. And of course, correlations. You were already getting a lot of correlations, numbers, the number sequences, and all of those kind of things. But for a long time, it wasn't leading to anything concrete. So for us as witnesses, it was really, really interesting that once the chakras came through, it was like, oh, okay, right, this is also what's going on. So tell us
But
about the first time you balanced.
but I'd like to just like to explain like who like Heru is like in the
Right.
you could say the Cometian tradition or the Egyptian pantheon.
Mm,
Basically, like you have the, if I can remember correctly, the goddess Newt, and she had uh, 4 children. Might be getting, hopefully I'm getting it right, but she had uh, Osiris, or Sa, or Set, Isis, Nephthys, and the brother Set. So they're part of a pantheon, and then uh, Osiris was killed by his brother, and
mm,
then Nephthys and Isis, they go and basically resurrect his body,
yeah.
and Isis redeems all of his body apart from his phallus, but then creates a golden phallus, and then impregnates herself and creates Heru, which is her divine like child, basically. So this is almost like you could say this is the, well, not could say it is the origins of like the Christ story, and then Heru um, uh, like comes back to avenge his father and take his place like as the rightful king away from like Osiris's stepbrother Set. So that's like that's where the story, that's where it comes within the mythology, and that like because a god archetype basically like visited me, and it was like a being who was like 15 foot tall and I like literally, it was like I was lying down at the time on my settee, my eyes closed, but it's almost like, yeah, I could just say like your astral body, like is there, or like, yeah, like your spirit body. It was like my spirit body standing up, and I'm standing up next to this tall being who took out these planets from his stomach and juggled them and then passed them to me. I juggled them. This is my spirit body, then placed them into my stomach. And then I just felt this like powered up energy. And from that moment, that's when I could feel like I could feel the chakras. And with that, and then typically when I have these experiences, it's like I have the experiences, but outside, like with my waking world, will reflect what has happened. Like whether it's a day, 2 days, a week, or something, it will always reflect what's happened. So in the place that I was living at the time, and as I said, he's a falcon god. Like he's like got the body of a man, you could say, but the head of a falcon. Um, the following about 2 weeks later, there was a building site right opposite my house, and then there was a massive crane erected with a big falcon, and then and all the builders had like a like they're building whether they're building
Uniform.
overalls, and their
Mm,
overalls all had RC, like the word of power on the back with the numbers 1, 2, 6, which corresponds to the number 9, but that number is occulted as well within the science of the pyramids. So yeah, that's like just to put like some meat on the bones, basically.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, totally, totally. No, I'm glad you added in all of that because yeah, for us on the sideline, it was just so interesting seeing more and more. Like I remember when you were seeing the David Bowie and the Sevens,
yeah, yeah,
and that all sort of like came in as well. So it was very interesting for us, um, seeing you go through an experience where you were having experiences on the inside, and then you know that thing of as above, so below, then seeing representations also on the outside world that were not to do with, your creating. So it was very interesting for us. It also helped to open up our perceptions through through what was happening with you.
Yeah,
But
and I
with
think,
this, mhm,
well, I was going to say, and I think because of I mentioned what happened in 2003, I think that there's a correspond. I know that there's a correspondence with that as well, because as I was saying, even on the back of their shirt says like Arche, you can pronounce it Arche, Arce. Like some people spell it AS with a little dot with an E. Some people, other traditions spell it like Ash, ASS. I mean ASHE, like Ash. But that's the way it was spelt on the back of the builders, like tops, like Ash. And then if I'm going back to the image I saw of the hand in 2003, that was like ash. It was like black particles, like ash. So I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's the correspondence there. It's like that. That's the power. It's almost like that's the power basically.
Yeah. For you, did you at any point ever doubt what was happening? Were you ever frightened of insanity, of madness, were you ever frightened?
No, not really. No, no, I can't. Not even not really. No, to be honest. Oh, you could say I don't know. If I get like frightened, but sometimes my body will vibrate and go like do certain things where you're like, how much power can it like take? Because sometimes it's because this is outside of maybe the realms of other people's reality, but sometimes it's like like it'll be like doing certain like my body will do certain things at night, and it's like you just wonder like how much like there's like it feels like there's so much power coming through this vessel, and that can sometimes be a bit um disconcerting. So I could say
Totally,
you
totally,
just
totally.
almost like
Yeah,
I kind of like sometimes close my eyes and you just leave it to like to whatever to time that
yeah.
and I won't seem to wake up the following day. So
And so for you, do you ever think about where is this power coming from? If I say to you, where's this power coming from? What would be your answer?
I can't tell. I can't say where it is coming from, but I could like in that way. But because of the like power, like the power to drive the vessel's always been there. But then
Mhm,
in certain like because recently I was doing this exploration into like the talk. I was
mhm,
like exploring certain experiences. I'm not going to write. I'm not writing. I'm not talking too much about my experiences within this talk. But
mhm,
I was, there was a bit where I was writing. I'm not going to have that actually, but I was writing about basically like one of the first experiences I had was like it was like this masculine force. Like it was like I was in this plain white room. If I had to explain it, I would try to explain it like this, almost like if you went into like an art gallery with no art in it, just a white room. Like if you've seen the
mhm.
Matrix, in a room where you can program things, it's just white. But basically,
Yeah.
a room like that, and then from the corner, I saw like another, like almost like a door with a room, and all I saw was this black sea, like jet black sea, like it's almost like, and then I heard a noise, like it was like, like it was like the noise of creation itself, like loud vibration, like it was like I don't know, bigger than like I don't know a billion oceans or something. Like if you see something of some like vast magnitude, like just bigger than anything you can. All I can say is like of creation itself, kind of that was the noise, the vibration I heard. And then from that, like looking, before I knew it, it was like I was like almost like flat. And then I felt this pushing on my chest, but then I felt this vibration, and I could feel it was like the personification of this vibration. And it was like masculine, sinister, pushing down on my chest. And then it's like I struggle against it. And just at the moment I'm really struggling, it would stop. And then almost like laugh, like almost like, and then just as I'm just at the point that I'm relaxing, it start again. and we have to, and I was going through this cycle, and like, because of this power and this force of the magnitude, and like you feel like almost like the tiniest speck, like compared to it, and like it can do anything with you, and it knows what you're going to do before you know what you're going to do. Like that's like that, like this was like the thing I was like almost like dealing with, and then it just stopped, and then it's like I woke up from that. Then the following day, the same thing happened, but this time it was with a feminine force. It was like doing the same thing, but in a gentle, more caring way. Like it was testing me, but you could feel like it was almost like the tough love of a mother kind of thing. Like, you know, true feminine, like kind of essence, like, and then had to go through that, that you could, and it was like, I could say, you could say initiation of meeting like this, like even when the feminine came, part of me was thinking like, I didn't even think there could be another being, like, let alone a feminine being, like
Right.
with the totality that I thought itself, the first one. And then it was like, no, there's another totality, this other female version of this totality, basically. And then it was like, yeah, they played their archetypes well, like good cop, bad cop as well, like to a T, basically. Both gonna lock you up. And then, yeah, and then after that experience, it was like those two forces after that initiation, it was almost like this Osirian thing of getting broken apart first, and then redone again, like, yeah, like going through this. It was only a 2-day experience, but going through that like thing, and then I felt like those forces merge inside of me, and I often feel them inside of my vibration as well, like sometimes together, sometimes different, sometimes yeah, looking upon certain operations. It's been happening. Yeah, this is, I've never even mentioned it, but yeah, I can feel, and I know that that is part of that power as well.
Right.
So that's part of that force.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when somebody says to you about, just even says, do you believe in God? Or yeah, what do you say to that question?
Um, it's almost like, I don't know. It's because it's a question that people often say, but then it's like it doesn't. It's almost like it doesn't mean anything. Like it's like, you know, you just have your experiences. Like it's almost like a question that somebody would ask you just to have an argument or something, or to have a disagreement, you know, like, because they, yeah, it's like, yeah, it just, you could, like, I'd say if somebody, like, if the, yeah, it wouldn't be a question that I would really even, like, you've answered it. I'm sure you've answered, like, people answer it, but really looking at it, it's almost like, so it'll be like, yeah, it makes no sense. You could ask somebody what God is to them, if there is something, as opposed to like, do you believe in something? What does believing in something really mean? Like, in one way, like it's like you can believe in something and then you don't believe in it, you know. Yeah.
And so, I one question that some of my clients have come with is, how do I know this gift is from something good and isn't actually an entity who's going to be using me or something like that? How, for you and what you're going through, does it feel like it belongs to these ideas of good and evil? You know, yeah, I think that's the question.
Yeah, I don't know, like, well, you could say it like, I don't know, you can look at it in so many ways, like, so it's like, it like loads of things in life, because it's like we were talking about microbiome before. You could say that you're controlled by your microbiome in your stomach, depending on, like, you know, what food you're eating and things like that. So yeah, how much I like, some, you know, there's so many like facets to anyone, So like you could say that what do you believe in at that particular time? If somebody believes that they're gonna have certain pattern, like for me, I don't even I choose not to really even regard certain things as gifts. I say that like you have your powers, like your own spiritual powers, as opposed to like gifts, just because of a gift is like somebody's giving it something to you, as opposed to me
Power.
like, even developing your powers or certain things coming online at certain particular times, basically, you know.
I like that. Yeah, I like that actually. To call it a power feels very
Yeah,
integrated as opposed to a gift, which kind of is a oh thank you type of thing.
that's
Yeah,
me. So
yeah, yeah.
I
It
was,
has a different energy.
yeah. And like I say, like certain from what I know so far, certain things do switch on given certain like times that you're in, basically.
What do you, I mean, do you have any opinions, thoughts, knowledge, intuitions about, um, or does it seem to you like, to me, it seems like a lot of people's gifts, or if you like, powers, I like powers, powers are coming online. Um, I don't know. It could be because of what I'm doing. So that's the stream I'm in. But also, I think if I look at what seems to be even conversations, um, yeah, it seems really there's a difference. Like, even just the other day, I got a black cab for the first time in ages because I wasn't going to go far. They never get them going far because they're so expensive. But really, 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 old fashioned, Cockney chappy, white, working class, black taxi driver about to go on holiday to the Canary Islands. I'm going to spend all my money. I've told my kids I'm not leaving them anything. It's like all the other stuff. And then as we're chatting, it felt like almost from nowhere, he just started saying to me about, yeah, I'm not sure the world's round anymore. I mean, if you look at, and then he just goes off into this whole metaphysical conversation, talking about his dreams. Like, I was so flabbergasted because I kept on thinking, no, did I say something to trigger this? Did I say something? But I know I didn't, because I wouldn't, I wouldn't go there with that type of a person because of my own internal prejudices. But it
Yeah,
feels to me like I'm meeting more and more people who seem to be more expansive in how they're looking at reality. Do
yeah.
you feel yourself that there is a bigger change across the board? Are you seeing that, or maybe I'm just attracting the changes?
Well, I'll say it's a bit of both as well. Like there's definitely going to be there's a shift because there is a shift in like consciousness
Mhm.
as well as that. But what was the other one you said? Just to remind me. Sorry,
Oh,
stop.
yeah, I was saying, like, do you think there's a shift across the board, or is it like I'm almost, like attracting them
Yeah,
because I'm
that's
also
that's what
seeking?
I'm saying. Yeah. So there's both. There's going to be there's a shift in consciousness as well as
Mhm.
that people are going to be attracting more of who they are as well. Like
Mhm.
there's like a general like reflection in life, like which to
Mhm.
me is happening more and more of like this like within almost like the consciousness expanding. There's going to
Mhm.
be a
Mhm.
certain degree of magnetism expanding. So you're going to
Mhm.
be attracting or having certain conversations with what have a reflection on like your consciousness at that time as well.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So then
Mhm.
it's like, even just the fact that you said that you was in a black taxi.
Yeah.
So like how I would like interpret that when I'm having like if I was looking at that as a conversation I had and the taxi driver started, it's like the color black. It's like bringing something like that's where chaos, like that's the realm of chaos. That's where
Yes.
like enlightenment comes from itself. It's like, and then it's like there's the taxi itself is like a very spiritual vehicle. I have quite a few
Mhm.
dreams being in taxis, basically. It's like guidance, direction. It represents a journey. It's like transitions in life. All of these things are like contained in like the symbology of a taxi. So if I was having a conversation, like there would be like, almost like no better place to have that conversation and
Yeah,
enjoy
yeah.
the conversation being in a taxi, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely felt, yeah, it definitely felt almost like a scene from Doctor Who. You know, because Doctor Who is so good at showing what looks really normal, but because you're watching Doctor Who, you also know something to do with the Time Lord is going on. And it really, really felt like that. I gave him a flyer and everything because it was just such an extraordinary little exchange of ideas. And I also did, even on a almost like a kind on a level of the ancestors almost hijacking somebody to do something, for my mind was just that kind of don't judge a book by its cover. You know, it was just almost like an experience to straighten up my mind, because I had so many fixing preconceptions over him, and it
Yeah.
was just a kind of like straighten up your brain. So I love the exchange. Yeah, it was very, very interesting.
And in general, when you like, not in general, I was like doubting it, but yeah, when you meet people, can be the smallest thing or the largest thing, but it's an agreement between minds which have been made, like you know, because everywhere we're all attached like this through this, like, yeah, this world, like this mental world. So yeah, like you would have attracted that person to have that conversation, like from, yeah, another space in time, basically.
Yeah, 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 totally, totally. I mean, with everything that you've been through and where you are now, what advice would you give someone who the thing that most people tell me, they've always had really vivid dreams. They sometimes have things that come true, and they're always, mostly when I meet people, they're at that stage of um, I'm not sure what if I should believe these things, even though they come true. And it's always quite an interesting conversation because their experiences are, yes, they come true. You know, you don't need me to tell you. But what advice would you give people who they can feel these powers? Where do you think they need to start when they're a bit confused, really, about what to do about it?
Mm.
I know the question is woolly.
No, it's, but yeah, no, because of, first of all, I'm not somebody who's like big on like obviously, yeah, humans, we all give it people advice and stuff like that, but then sometimes I don't like, especially in the on the in the the media forum, like come across as like somebody who knows like what people should do. So I just want to put that out there. So um because it's not the same as speaking to your friend or something like that in a certain conversation. Um, I think that, like, because what I'd say is, I think sometimes people might be listening to certain people would say, like, oh, whatever, like on certain media forums that say you shouldn't read. I think sometimes it might, like, sometimes it's good to read as well. Like, if you're thinking that you're having certain metaphysical things, you can read certain metaphysical books, read certain things to do with energy. You know, it can be like, I remember Panic used to say, oh, like, you can read the 101 books, like 101 with this, like, or that. Because, yeah, sometimes people will be like, no, you don't need to read any books, just go within. But sometimes I'd say you should, or just like you can seek people who have had similar experiences or going through similar things. But I'd say everybody's everybody's experience is unique to them, because I find, because of, I'd say for me personally, the experiences that I have are like day to day are quite, I would say, like not in an egotistical sense, but I'd say so much more different to some things parallel with certain things, but then certain things what happen around me like this like just what happened right now. It's like I heard something, but what I did is I heard time. So on the clock it's 18:18:8 and I've got 8% battery. And it was like, yeah, certain things like when the numbers are repeating around me, it's like it's just like, yeah, like things like, yeah, certain vibrations will come. And so sometimes it's like I can recognize time and things like like that, which is very Saturnian when I think about it. Yeah, so what I was saying is, yeah, certain people's experiences are unique to them. And so sometimes you have to even get into it for different people. Sometimes you can find solace with people having certain experiences, but sometimes you may be seeking for people to understand you, but they don't understand you. So that can be annoying in a way. So sometimes you just, I'd say so some people, they would just have to get comfortable with themselves and their own experiences, basically. And obviously, you meet people where they are, but it's a practice in itself, like just being like holding, like, yeah, what's happening to you as well, and not like having almost like the frustration of people having to understand what's happening, because that could be a frustration. So yeah, you know, like having just, patience and compassion, like for people as well as self, basically, because
That makes sense.
yeah, there's no law that everybody has to understand you. So that was a thing that I had to, and I've got definitely better at it. But yeah, because that was a thing. It's like, because of, as I said, there's certain things that I'll notice or which are happening at all times, kind of thing. And now, before I'd be trying to say it to people like, "Wow, did you see that?" Or "Did you see this sort of thing?" And I can see they're just not getting it. And now it's like I can just let these things happen and go past without me having to tell them and being like, "No, because it's because of this, because of that." Because I've seen certain patterns and I'd be like, and it seems so real to me that it should feel so real to somebody else. And then it's like, no, their mind doesn't work like that. So yeah,
Exactly.
is that yeah, I think it's kind of surrounds that thing. Like sometimes people might get a certain degree of knowledge and then they can start becoming egotistical with that knowledge as well, thinking that like, look, people are not like, they're not like they're not superior as them because of they've gained some knowledge, where that knowledge could come with people with their diet and things like that. You know what I mean?
No, totally. So we have a question. We have a question from Francesca Fergus, and she says, "What are your thoughts on lots of people nowadays talking about a shift to a 5D world consciousness, a higher way of being?"
Well, I'd say because of all of these things are like their names, but if that is one of the, I can't call it 5D. You could give it a name, but there is like that was one of the things that was relayed to me like a good few years ago, that we were moving from one vibration and into a much higher vibration. And I've said the story before, like in terms of I was showing like the hieroglyph. I was showing a glyph, and it's people call it the light bulb of Dendera,
Oh
but
yeah,
I was
yeah.
shown that glyph, and it was like that contained like the vibration, and like we're at an extreme, like when I saw the vibration that humanity is on or was on at that time, it was like a really low vibration. And then it was like, at the time I just thought, well, that is why the world is like this. And almost like having that notion of, no matter how many demonstrations or this or that people do, or think like we, like, having a narrative of we need a new leader or this or that. It's like, No, it's not about that. It's just because of the vibration you live at. These are going to be the results. It's that's the law of cause and effect. There's a cause and that's the effect. So this is the effect of the world that you live in. And now we're going to move into a completely, and from what I was shown of the vibration that we were moving into, it was a completely different. It was so high that it was like it wasn't. It was just like you're going to be living in a completely different reality itself. It's not that you're going to be having like a smaller mobile phone or even a chip in like your hand. It was beyond that comprehension, basically. That's what that like I saw that in vibrational form. So not it wasn't like I saw it in images or it was like, yeah, it was just like just saw like this height and vibration and that in itself told me the story.
And does it feel like, because sometimes I was having a conversation with somebody with powers, and they were very sad about the world situation, and at the same time we were talking about these 26,000, 27,000 year kind of like shifts, planetary, or maybe even it's universal shifts in energies, and the yugas. That's it, we were talking about the yugas. And so I was saying that how I see the yugas for myself is that you do what you found is yours to do in whatever this shift is. But if we're seeing, if one has the perception that it's a 26, 27,000 year shift, to me anyway, it's not about looking to see the enlightened age, because it doesn't feel like the enlightened, the age of enlightenment as we move into the next one is going to happen when I'm 100. It could be, to me, it could be another 2,000 years. So it felt like you just do, or to me anyway, you just do what is yours to do in the particular lifetime that you're conscious of that time. And whatever pulls at your heartstrings, you see if there's more of you to do. So I'm saying that to kind of ask, when you could see this higher vibration, did it feel like did it feel like you could see a time, like the timeline?
No, I
No.
wasn't showing. Yeah, I wasn't showing. I was just like I was. I wasn't showing any like a particular time with that. The thing what I was showing with time was that there were like, and that was, I don't know, like I was shown two timelines at that, like, yeah, I was shown two timelines, and one timeline showed me something to do with going into a place of complete destruction. It was like almost like if you were going on a train line, it was like one thing's going like that way with complete destruction, and the other one was going into another line which wasn't um, written. So I was shown something like that, but I was shown that at another time, and so I still can't. I still not too sure about that, like what that meant in its entirety. But then I was also shown about like Earth going into this totally different, new, higher vibration. So I don't know if it was like that, like one thing is going into that destruction, and then the other thing, which is unwritten, is going into that totally high vibration, which, but yeah, it wasn't like I saw it in any way in terms of like visual or knew exactly what was going to happen in 2000 and people give you this date to look forward to. I think if anything, it's happening right now. So it's, yeah, it's like, and it's like, that's the thing. It's like you're living in it.
So Francesca says thank you. If you have a question, put it in the chat, or you can
Just get a charger. One sec, be a second.
Okay, cool. Another new jacket. Yao's got our little sister's printing thing. So he's adding all these other prints to his jackets. So the whole family, we all sew, and we keep giving it up and starting again at different times. So I'm nearly finished giving up sewing. But Yao's sewing, my sister's giving up, my little sister's given up sewing, but she still has her printing um, stuff. So our African spiritual practices will have some t-shirts that Nana's printing for me at the moment. But yeah, this is a new jacket you've got, Yao. New shirt.
The shirt.
Yeah, it's really cool. I just saw that om symbol
Sorry?
on the side.
Can't see it properly. It's Most you can't see it, but you
Oh
can't really see it.
wow. Yeah, yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
you can see it.
Is it Ganesh?
It's in the back.
Yeah. Oh, it's so cool. Actually, you can stand up. We'll see the whole thing.
Can you see it?
Yeah, it's really cool. Oh, beautiful. Really, really, really cool. Really
Ganesh.
cool. Yeah. Will you? Exactly. Yeah. Kali Mati says, yeah. Let me just read it properly. It says, powerful experience. Ah, I love that. Will you bring some of your stuff to African spiritual practices? Do you have some stock?
I'll take a look and see. I have got stock. I think I have to just put buttons on things. I mean,
Yeah, I've got a little rail. I'll bring a little rail. So just bring some. Yao sews in a lot of. I, why am I saying it? Tell us about your clothes, and anyone, if you've got a question, you can. I'm going to put it so that I can see everybody as well. But you can write it down, or you can what's it called? Like put on your video, and then we'll be able to see. But yeah, tell us about your clothes and what you've been doing.
yeah, the clothes. Yeah, just like for you could say hobby make clothes. Yeah, sometimes and they just use. Yeah, they just have like certain you could say meanings to them. Yeah, or it looks like if I'm going through certain experiences, it's just what. Yeah, I just put them on the clothing basically. And so this shirt that I'm wearing, it's the theme is Ganesh, and it's just got his mantras basically all over the jacket in Sanskrit or the shirt in Sanskrit. So just it's just that is yeah. I don't know if
Yeah.
you can, but yeah, it's just he's all basically it's the whole thing is his mantras over the shirt basically.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
cool. It's really cool. I haven't seen that design. They're amazing. They're amazing, Yao's designs. And I've seen some of our friends who I don't know have got one. And then every now and again, like I saw Fazana, and she was in one of your trousers. I didn't
Yeah.
know that she'd got one. Yeah, she looks great. She looks great. So it's nice. I love it when I see the people, the magic crowd in one of your outfits. Yeah, it's really cool. So I'm glad we're gonna have them there. But yeah, if anyone has a question or even an experience, just jump in.
Interesting.
Hello? I thought I saw somebody's because I'm doing it on my phone, so I can't see everybody, but I saw what was this one? I saw one of them where the sound came on. Hello? Oh,
Hi, it wasn't my sound, but I can jump in if there's space.
yeah, definitely. Is that Donna?
Here's Kaima Architect. Let me just see.
Hi, I recognize your voice. Nice to have you on.
Yeah, beautiful. Really enjoying this. Okay, let me see. Camera. Let me see. Let me see. Okay.
Yay, we can see you.
Hi. Hi, y'all.
Right.
Okay, so I had an experience yesterday, which has been yeah, a bit of an experience thinking about it. So I'm journeying, as they say. And so yesterday, I just popped into, well, went to go into Covent Garden to pick up some homeopathic remedy. I missed the shop by, I don't know, about 5 or 10 minutes. I've got a little bit of a challenge at times to do with food and diabetes and working through, coming out of diabetic form, naturally. And so I mentioned that to say I've been a bit off with food lately and found it difficult to get back on track. So that's just the background. While I was waiting at the bus stop to find my way back home, I was at the West End and thought I could find the trail to where I needed to, and I got a little bit lost. And so just found the bus, take the bus to a point of Victoria where I knew I could connect with another bus. And this guy passed me, this black guy passed me, and by appearances, like I said, not to judge by appearances and behavior, he seemed like, maybe, it was more difficult times than not for him. And he had a takeaway cup and he came from behind while I was at the bus stop and just said, what did he say? I wrote it down. Goodbye, you gamblers, and dropped the cup at my feet. And it seemed as if there was a bit of tea in the cup, and some of it spilt on near my feet, and some remained in the cup. And then he was walking on the road into the traffic, and cars were kind of slowing down. So there was this distraction of what he was doing. It all unfolded really quickly. And there was two people at a bus stop, and they were kind of looking at me, looking at the cop, looking at him. And I was kind of, one of those things where it unfolds before your very eyes. And so since then I've been thinking, oh, okay, I mean, I know I had a cheeky big fat sandwich, earlier on that day, and I'm wondering, okay, is that the gambling that is being referenced? So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
What did you feel?
Well, at the time,
Yeah, yeah.
I think that at the time I was bemused. And on the way home, I was thinking about that big fat sandwich And then since then, as time's passing, and then, well, at one point during the time, because I noticed that I didn't move from the cup, and I was kind of working out what's going on here. And part of me felt a peace that if it's my time, it's my time. Source, however we speak of energy, however we understand energy, has got things in hand, whatever that may be, however that may unfold. And I do remember at the time thinking, well, I can't smell anything that's like acid or anything bizarre. So yeah, it's more after the event, I'm catching up with whatever this event is. But he definitely dropped it at my feet and definitely said the words goodbye, you gamblers. That was it. So do you have any thoughts? Yeah, what does it bring up for you? Just out of curiosity and
Um, what did what did you said that something about smelling something? Why did you mention smelling?
because the liquid, I was wondering, I was thinking to myself, okay, so whatever this liquid is, if automatically my brain thought if it's a dangerous liquid and I need to definitely move straight away and not look at the guy distraction that he's going to get run over and hope he's okay. If there was something dangerous, then it would smell. That was my automatic assumption. But I know that's obviously not a correct factual thing. It was just the automatic thing that came to me.
Sorry, I missed it. What, he had a cup with something in it, a liquid, you say?
Yeah, it seemed like a bit of tea. He came from, I didn't see him coming. He came from
Yeah.
behind while I was waiting for the bus.
Mm.
And then he just dropped this cup onto the floor, and some of the liquid, it looks like a tea without milk. Some of it spilled onto the floor close to my feet. Some remained in the cup. And as he dropped it, he walked off into the road.
And he said gamblers.
He said, goodbye, you gamblers.
Well, the only like I couldn't say like, oh, it means this or it means that, but if there was an association, I would just go with, first of all, with the association that you made in terms of like your food, basically. And obviously gambling has got something to do with doing something compulsively.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could put those things together and you can see what it means for you.
Yeah, that connection, the gambling, the food, the compulsion with the gambling with the food, that part I'd connected that as the most possible possibility that I can bring to mind.
Yeah.
Now the bit saying goodbye.
I would say if there was anything, I would go with that. Like, yeah, just I would say go with that first.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. That bit I got, but after that, I haven't quite. Yeah, I'm curious as to anybody else's thoughts be further from that. And like you said, I understand it's like, none of us know this exactly means that, and everything like that. So I get that as a given.
For me personally, I would. That's what comes to mind first. What you've just said. I can't give you any more. I wouldn't even try to.
Yeah, who definitely feels it. And normally that first thing that comes up without too much thought is, it always seems to feel like, yeah, that's the, because thoughts are very often in the realm of why. And I always remember my mum used to say, why has a long tail? So anything that comes before all the thoughts that are to do with why is probably closer to some kind of a truth or a message.
And sometimes it's best. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't want to say anything to overcomplicate, not even that, to overcomplicate anything. And then for me personally, I'm a big believer in people unraveling things, because that's how you learn as well. Like that's part of sometimes we want other people to like, to say what we need them to say. But oftentimes it's for us to enjoy like that. And for me personally, I enjoy unraveling certain things, because that's how you're going to learn as well.
The only thing that I would say, if I could speak, it's Sister Shirley. Greetings, everybody. Thank you for today.
Nice to have you.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Is that he said, goodbye, you gamblers. Yes? Is that right?
Yeah.
So you said, sister, when you were trying to unravel it, that does that mean that it's my time? Does that mean, that it's something to do with you? But he said, he dropped the cup and he said, goodbye, you gamblers. And then he walked into the road. So to me, it sounds as if he could almost have been talking about himself, saying goodbye to whatever he meant gamblers to be. But obviously it struck a chord with you because of the sandwich. But it sounded to me like he was saying goodbye to the world. And decided to walk off into the road. I don't know, but that's the take that I got on it. It didn't feel to me like it was you were going, it was him that was going. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Sister Shirley. Yeah, the trip over the sandwich might have kind of overridden one or two
Yes.
things, so I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Bless you. Thank you for listening.
Excellent. And also, actually, Yaw, I wanted to ask you about psychedelics, and because sometimes I've spoken to people who have yet to try psychedelics, but they they have some powers. And for the ones who haven't yet tried a psychedelic, there's always a bit of a confusion as to what that, what's going to happen. So for you, as somebody who does have powers and does also use psychedelics, what's the relationship for you, if there is any?
I would say like, yeah, like sometimes I would use it just so that, say if I've got loads of things like happening, and then using, say, like what having like going on a journey with mushrooms at times can clarify certain experiences, or not even clarify. Yeah, it just it can give a level of clarity, or just the same way as Donna wanted maybe another perspective. It could, you know what I mean? It can give, yeah. Sometimes it can give me. Sometimes it will give me a perspective that I haven't, yeah, like explored or seen with my conscious, like, yeah, conscious vision basically. And so, yeah, sometimes, a lot of times it can do that.
Could you give us a practical example of one of these times? A little story.
Mm.
You didn't bump into that guy with the cup, did you?
Sorry?
You didn't bump into that guy with the cup.
No, no. Can I think of a practical time? I can't even think of today. My brain is so thinking today. Let me
I
think.
could see it around your eyes when you first came on, because now I can see it now. When you've got a lot of activity, your eyes look almost a bit puffy and tired.
Yeah.
And then I know you're going to say I've had a lot of vibrations.
It's like for saying it, like it's like my brain is constantly like, and yeah. So sometimes it's just like, and it's like it just feels like almost like an electromagnetic helmet around my head. So clarity. So you could say, then like the guys go with it early. I was trying to think of like something new, but so earlier, one of the earliest ones was going to Peru to have ayahuasca. At that point, I asked why I was vibrating, and then through that experience, I was because that was one of the first time I was shown like my part in certain things to do with ancient Egypt. At that time, because I mentioned it briefly, but I didn't really go into it. But in 2000, not 2000, in 1993, I was 19, and I can't see myself here, but basically can't really see it. But I've got three dots what appeared on my head, on my forehead. At the time, I didn't know what it was, but basically, in 2018, so that's something like, I don't know, 24 years later or something, if I'm doing the maths correctly, in Peru, having the ayahuasca experience, met Anubis Anpu, who's showing me all these things to do with Egypt and the law of vibration. After I asked, why am I vibrating like that? He didn't really say why I am vibrating, but he just said, like, he just expressed that, like, the universe itself is like to do with like the law of vibration. Everything vibrates in the universe, basically. And then I was shown Egypt, and then I was projected a picture of my forehead, and then it was shown that those three dots were the three stars of Orion's belt, and they're aligned with the pyramids of Giza. And in a previous incarnation somewhere, I had something to do with the construction of the pyramids, and even my name, Yaw Fosu, is, or not that name itself, but my initials YAF are encoded in the pyramids itself, and you can actually see the YAF in this, like when you see the diagrams of the inner stairs of like the pyramids, basically. And I was shown that, and I'm not saying this is the thing, but this is what I was shown. And at the time, and then even the fact that when I was 19, that those dots appeared on my head at that time, because that's an occulted number, because of it's like one is and it's got correlations with the alpha and omega, because it's like 1 is the beginning, 9 is the end. There's no higher number than like 9, because it starts again. And so that was one of, like, yeah, you could say the certain things that what was shown to me during a psychedelic trip that I wasn't shown in my waking, like normal dream life.
No, totally, totally. Oh, I'm glad for that story. So guys, do we have any more questions? If we don't, I'm gonna let Yaw go, but not before, while everyone's thinking. Next Saturday coming, we've got African Spiritual Practices. Yaw, what's your title of your talk again?
Okay, let me look it up. Jeez, my memory is so bad today. What is my title of this?
It's something death.
Okay, 1 second. I have to take a look at it. Basically, I just to explain that basically I'm looking into the science of death, basically. Like without me, yeah, I'll just say it now. So I'm looking into the science of death in our lives, in mythology, astrology. It can, because of death is something that is around us, and it seems like a little even more nowadays. And just seeing, and just going through certain, mythologies to do with death and the afterlife, because of well, not as I say it, but during all the experiences I've had or having, the symbols of death and the afterlife have always been there. So often, like, we might be talking about our like spiritual gifts and things like that, but a lot of these, if not all of them, reside in the spirit world. And so this is all part of it, is going, like, you know what I mean? Because obviously things like to do with clairvoyance, all the clairs, it's all to do with like higher consciousness. Oftentimes in this material world, we think of intellect being this highest bar, but it's not. It's like when you go, it's like, yeah, that's like almost like just for this realm. But where we're moving into, part of that, you could say high vibration is almost like moving into this, from what I'm finding is actually moving into what we could describe as moving into the world of death, basically. Because yeah, that's where that if you're going to gain like your spiritual powers, a lot of that is in this world, basically. And it's in the world, like whether maybe not explain it properly, but if we're thinking of people who connect with the past, if we're thinking of like connecting with in the distant future or something, or the distant past, it's all to do with like things which are in the invisible world. And yeah, this is like the world of the spirit, basically. And so yeah, it's almost like, yeah, just getting into this world of death. And it's been like, I was just saying, like even a quick experience that I had just recently, because it's quite fresh, and I don't think I'm gonna I doubt if I'm going to mention it in the talk. So one experience I've been having is I often feel the presence of Papa Legba around me. And if anybody knows about the deity Papa Legba, he's like a man with a crook. He's like intermediary to the spirit world. He guards the crossroads. And oftentimes a lot of the signs and symbols I get are from the roads. Like a lot of cars, things from the roads always give me like signs, basically. But I've got a connection with the road, you could say. And then I often get lots of people around me, whether it's like with walking canes, with crutches. Like a ridiculous amount of people will be like, if I come out of a building, I'll see somebody with crutches or with something like that. I just see it a lot. And I know that it's just like a sign of this energy around me. But last Friday, I was working. There was this guy, and I saw exactly when he came. He was on, and there's one major crossroad near my work where I know I get a lot of like signs from. So this guy, he just came and he lay on the ground right where the crossroad was, where there's like parking like a big, quite busy road, Seven Sisters Road. He just laid on the floor, and he had a can of Coke, a bottle of Coke, and a packet of crisps, and he was just chilling, like it was like a dude who'd be in his like front room or something. And then I was working till from like 4 till just after 10. He was there all that time, and he didn't move from that spot. But the only thing was that he accumulated so many sweets and food. It was like the weirdest thing. So I'm watching it, and I'm like, this is like, and I'm just like watching, like, he would come past where I was, like, come past and still see that guy there. One of my colleagues saw that, like, when he was coming in, somebody said, "Do you need anything?" He said, "I want a blanket." When my colleague was walking past, he gives it, man had like a fresh blanket. Had loads of sweet. He had like, it was just like people giving him sweets and everything. And one of the rituals with Papa Legba is that when you go to the crossroad, you would put down like an offering, typically sweets or something that he likes, coffee or anything like that. So that being said, when I was leaving, the guy had a big box of chocolate cakes. He's like stuffing them down. I saw chicken and chips. He had like a little feast. And I was just like, this guy's like this energy of Papa Legba right outside of my work. When I left, like, yeah, just saw it. I came back the following day. Where he was, he had left, like, there was loads of sweet packets and things like that. Part of my investigations, I took a picture. But there was one solitary lottery, like, ticket. And the lottery ticket had, like, 5, 5, 5, 5, and a 1. It was like £5, £5, £5. And so the numbers added up to 21. And Papa Legbar's number's 3. In numerology, 2 and 1 equals 3, easy peasy. But one of the key things is I've been noticing this 201, 21 showing up a lot. And then after that ritual, I say ritual because it felt like a ritual. That was last Friday. It was last Friday, the Friday before, it was the 18th. 2 days later, which I found strange, was that not strange, but because of Papa Legbar's known for like intermediary with like to the spirit world, he's known for like things to do with death, things like that. And his number, like I said, his number's 3. One thing I noticed was noticed basically 2 days later, I saw that the guy from the Cosby Show, Malcolm Jamal Warner, he had died, and he was 54. 2 days later, Ozzy Osbourne died, and he was 76. And then another 2 days, and then like I'm lost a bit, but basically even before that, I kept on noticing this number 222. So I've been noticing 21, 222. That's what happens with me sometimes. I'll be noticing certain correlations. Then and then the second day, another person died who was Hulk Hogan. So all these people in my time, they were like 80s, late 90s, early 90s stars, like very much in, you could say, like things I would watch. Or yeah, they were just around, like the Osbournes on MTV, Hulk Hogan wrestling, and obviously the Cosby Show. They were iconic family. But one thing I know, and then it was like somebody said something to me, and I don't know why it triggered something. It just triggered something, and I thought I checked their ages, and it was like the strangest thing, because 71 plus 76 plus 54 adds up to 201, and so it's like things like that. It's almost like there'll be these like correlations basically within like almost like this spirit world and the material world, what's happening right now. Or those are the things I noticed. Anyway, that was just a little story about this, the little correlations that happened. It's gone off within my tangent. Hello? Anybody got anything to say?
Yes, yeah, if possible. Sister Shirley, let me come on. Greetings.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, thank you. Sister Shirley, yeah, that's me. You said you started talking about death, about looking into death. Yes.
Yeah.
I just thought it was really interesting because I'm not practicing heavily now, but I was practicing Buddhism quite strongly at one point, and part of the practice is that there's a section where you pray for your ancestors and about that area, and
Yeah.
there's about 5 sections in the practice, and it was always when I went to that section, and as I got deeper and deeper in it, it was like, this is all about death.
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
this, I'm praying, I'm talking and thinking about the people that have passed and things that have happened and getting into it. And it's like, but this is really interesting because I think I'm more immersed in this part of the practice than I am
Yeah.
in any other. And it didn't worry me really, but it was just interesting how much more real that world felt when I was practicing heavily, So I just wanted to share that really.
No, exactly, and that's part of, like, you could say the talk is that there's so many things that, like, whether it's like things that you're watching, reading, any like spiritual yeah, like, especially when you go into the esoteric part of spiritual practices, that is pretty much what they're talking about is death. And if you understand even what, like, a lot of people are Christians and Muslims and things like that, and because people are not maybe understanding the esoterics or why they might do a practice or the roots of what that practice is, and loads of the practices come from, like, yeah, like death,
Yeah.
like symbolizing this underworld basically.
Yes. Yeah.
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 And part of it is that, like, yeah, like, yeah, is that we are like, because of the, like, within the talk that most of you say and everything, which I'm not part, because yeah, it's such a vast subject. It's like, part of it is like correlating even what they say about our genetics. Like, they will say that, like, they talk about what, part of your gene code is like, most of it is junk DNA. But through the research I was doing, that basically that junk DNA or the non-coded DNA actually comes on at the time of death.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is and that correlates, like, if we're using the concept of as above, so below, when they say, like, most of the universe is dark matter and we only know the little portion is light matter, that dark matter yet again can be equated to the underworld, the death
The
world.
death. Yes,
That,
yes, yes.
exactly.
It,
So
it's quite fascinating. It's fascinating
yeah,
because it's almost as if you get if you if you really get into it, it's like, oh, this could be really morbid because we're in this reality, and
yeah,
why do you want to dwell in that reality kind of thing? But it's 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 mind-boggling. I can't think of a word.
yeah, well, that studying this, like, because as I say, it's always been there, but really the subject being death in itself and deities and films and this. But while I was studying it, I've actually felt a freedom, like, come from it, like, and I felt actually a joy inside.
Yes,
Not a joy like, oh, I need to hug anybody, but it's just my own internal, like, joy within
yeah,
my stomach. I was writing about that today, but just put it in the thing because these are the byproducts from, because everything is about, like, how I see it, it's like you're just looking for, like, the correspondences and byproducts in life. Like, so
yeah,
you don't have to tackle something. Like, somebody might think, oh, I need to tackle depression, thinking about all these things. But actually, I looked into death and found, it's like, that's, I found a certain liberation opening up from
Yeah.
looking at that subject instead of me,
Yeah.
I don't know, going to a therapist. So I'm not saying you shouldn't, but
No, I
yeah,
agree. I agree. I
reading,
agree. Like I said,
yeah,
when I was
reading it.
practicing fully, it was whoa, it was quite exciting actually, which sounds it sounds a bit off, I think. I don't know, because it was exciting
Yeah,
because things kind of opened out differently than what it
it,
does in this reality, this in here. Where
exactly. Yeah. So that yeah, part of the talk is like, as my sister talks about spiritual gifts, or I say spiritual powers, part of it is actually that a lot of the ancient teachings were talking about basically, yeah, there was like far more to maybe death than meets the eye, so to speak. Because
mm,
like I'm going to be
mm,
talking about certain things with other traditions where there was gateways for certain people that knew certain things in death. So it
mm,
wasn't that everybody goes to the same place. Some people can
mm,
go to one place, other people might go to another place,
for
and all of it
real.
can be determined by your current consciousness and things like that. And yeah, there's like I say, yeah, there's yeah, like for me, like I won't be talking about this stuff within the talk, but it's like I've been contacted. As I say, some of the stuff what's happened is being contacted by spirits, basically, like in my normal, could say, life. Yeah, like certain spirits have contacted me.
Yes.
I've had to do certain things for the spirit because of how they died. Like I'll tell one thing. Like I had somebody who died. He had been shot quite gruesomely. Gruesomely in America. I didn't know who he was, like consciously, but through certain synchronicities, yeah, I connected with this person, and I found out that he was one of my spiritual children, and he had to go through certain things, parts of himself, to connect with me. Then when I connected with him, I had to go, and because he died like really like tragically for him, part of him was split. So I had
Yes.
to go and collect his pieces and almost like put him together, so now he could actually transition like fully, as well as that his spirit which is on the material plane can now have a greater impact, because he was a person of influence for certain like people at that time, even was which
Mm,
was a reason why he was like taken out as well, because of it was almost like they could foretell what he could do if he was around in the physical, but he can still do the same spiritually, even at a greater level. And so when I put him, like when I was able to put his particles to these pieces, yeah, part of his spirit was able to move on, but then the other part, which is earthbound, is now able to connect and do all the things that he would have
mm.
done as a physical being as well. So
So
it's like,
they lost out. See, this is what always makes me smile about these negative influences. If you look at, like, they think they're winning. They think they're doing the thing that will make them win. They're killing, they're unaliving the person, yes. But actually what they've done, from what you've just said, and it really reminded me of Alsor and Alset gathering ISIS, gathering the pieces and putting it back together and bringing back alive again, what you were just saying. But what happens is they've actually split him in two. So therefore he's actually become stronger because he's here on earth, still
yeah,
can do more probably, but yet
yeah,
he's liberated and free to go off and do
yeah.
whatever he does there as well. So I think that's one of the spiritual um what would you call it, laws. I'm not making up a law, but it's like when the thing looks like it's really really bad, be prepared, just hold on with faith, because the outcome is going to be so much more amazing than what these people or these negative influences think that they're trying to do to you. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
It does. It does. But and then like, I can see it in two ways as well, because of it's like there's a hieroglyph. This is another hieroglyph ages ago I was shown to do with like because I was shown a number of hieroglyphs to do with like where we're going, and one of the hieroglyphs I was shown, because it's like to do with like it's like Horus and Set, they're together, and they call it a
Yes.
churning of the wheel, but it's that churning of the wheel is something to do with like the movements of magnetism at a certain time within the Milky Way, which is going to
Okay.
bring down certain energies. But that in the story, obviously, people might see Set as a negative force and Horus, Heru as a positive force. But in that story, it also illustrates that you need both forces to work together for creation to exist as well. So just the same, and then so that always almost like puts you into, it's almost like, yes, we do say like them or they, but they are us as well, because of everything is inside of us. Like we are like the cosmos, so to speak, is like when they say that said every man and woman is a star, and and everything, like everything in the universe is within us. So therefore there is no separation, even though when we come into this world there's that duality, and we do see that separation and we live by that because everything shows us that. But then in the other, like that quantum atomic level, there is no separation. It's just energy.
Yes, it's still one thing.
Counterclock. And they come together. One's electricity, one's magnetism. It comes together. Everything comes together to create, basically.
That is deep, y'all.
No, totally. I've seen that in a trip before that just really, it was deep beyond, and it was like a law of vibration, but it was showing me, and it was saying that it was the law of friction, and it was showing friction in all the different ways, and it was saying how from friction is something new is created, and it went through from light friction, two stones making fire, sex making a baby, and it was just, and afterwards I came away with this thing of, I have to try and hold everything really lightly, and especially the bad things. I have to try and hold it lightly in my head, and try not to go down certain roads of thinking I know exactly what these things mean, like negative things. It was something about, you've got to hold all these things lightly, because in our 3D reality, things look a certain way, but from a wider perspective, they they have other implications, and they're not always, the full story is not always what we think. So it was a very strange, trip, and sometimes I feel like I get it, and then some levels it's like I don't know, but I get it. What I don't know is more to do with, I think, how I've been encultured about what is good and what is bad and what is evil and what is not, and what is the purpose of, if we like, the evil ones or whatever. Because what I keep being shown in trips is that these things are wider than how I've been brought up to believe. But in that is still something about what is yours to do. That seems to be the one thing that rings true anyway in my heart, is in this great story we find ourselves in, it's finding out what is yours to do, and then that's your position. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to next week, because I feel like my talk is going to dovetail a bit into some of Yaw's talk, because I'm going to be looking at my hypothesis, which I haven't completely made up by myself, but is influenced by the work of Dr. Bruce Edward Bynum, and his book Dark Light, and then he's got another book which is, I think it's called the African Consciousness, that's something like that. And it's his two books, and also the talks of Bobby Hemmett. I'm using those three bits of work to talk about how human spirituality came with humanity. It's not something I think we developed on these things as we moved out of Africa into different places, and different peoples developed different things. But the seeds, the essence of what we are spiritually came out of Africa. So I'm going to be showing the root failure into the Americas, into Asia, um, and something that through Bobby Hemmett and also through Yaw explaining a bit more, I'm also going to touch into what Bobby Hemmett talks about with all the when humanity realized that humanity was starting to go down, the fall of man, they decided that the next time we needed to learn faster. So they put all of the wisdom on the stones in a place that would go dry, so that it could last, so that we could learn faster during these times. And they knew that the knowledge would be scattered around the world. And I'm also using a lot of Bobby Hemmett talking about Black people also being scattered around the world towards this great spiritual awakening. So I think some things are gonna dovetail into each other, but I'm really, really excited about Saturday. So I hope lots of people are going to come and join us at the new venue in Brixton. And we start from 10 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. And then if you want to get even deeper into African spiritual practices and knowledge, we have 3 retreats coming up to Ghana. Got one at the end of September. We've got one with Yaw and Galactic Clyde in November, and Tia Sunlight. That's going to be a 10-day one. It's going to start off with African spiritual practices in Accra, and then we're going to go up into the mountains in the Volta region. That's in November. And then there's one at the end of January. So I think everybody on here, I have everyone's details. So I'm going to send details about next week and also about the retreats in Ghana. And yeah, I hope we'll all be able to get together and just keep deepening our knowledge and our power. I'm going to start using power rather than gifts, our power. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Yaw. Do you have any final things to say? How people can get in touch with you? Oh, it looks like Yaw's thing has come off. I will send everyone Yaw's number. He does do consultations, and he does them mostly remotely, so he can do it to you like over the phone or via Zoom. He's helped clients of mine who have maybe the starting of powers, clients of mine who have felt that maybe they've been under spiritual attacks. Yaw's able to see backwards and forwards in a person's timeline, and also read their internal organs, and also read the hormones, because sometimes what can feel like an attack is actually a hormone. Sometimes it's actually an organ. Yeah, it's shouting it needs some help, and it's experienced as a spiritual attack. So he's just back, so I'll get him to just say himself. Hi, Yaw. He's just loading on. Oops, I'm dropping the phone. Hi, Yaw.
Hi, sorry, that fell off.
Still, oh yeah. Hi, Yaw. We were just saying goodbye, but I wanted, I was saying I would send everyone, do you prefer for me to send people your number or your email if people want to get into you?
Sorry, I'll just tell them my number. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sometimes, apologies, but you just have to wait for me to come back, basically, because just as long as you don't mind, sometimes you get like, I'm not being rude, but well, maybe I am. But in the context of what people see as like thing, but sometimes it just takes me just a little while, but I do get back to people. It's just sometimes, it's just like sometimes it's like, as I say, sometimes the energies are so much. It's just like I just need to just chill a little bit, not be.
Yeah. No, definitely, definitely. Yeah, there are definitely times when Yao isn't able to do work with other people because the energies are just so strong. But yeah, so if he's not getting in touch with you, don't worry, and you can always send a message going, "Hi, I'm still waiting," and it's
I
absolutely
do
fine.
always get back, but
And
sometimes
in
it
that
just
way,
takes
I
me.
would say the same with me. I try my best to be in touch with everyone, but sometimes it falls off the end. So don't ever feel shy about going, we were in the middle of a conversation and you haven't come back to me. It's just how it is. And I was just saying to people that you work remotely most of the time, either on the phone or by Zoom. Am I
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. Cool. So thank you very much, everyone. Through where you signed up on, I'm going to send Yao's number through to everyone. And we've also got discounts. I've already sent that for Saturday, but we've got discounts on the retreats as well. So I'll send that through to you all as well. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much, Yao.
Right.
That was
Thank you, sister.
absolutely brilliant.
You have
And
to,
Okay.
we'll see you Saturday.
you have to
Me
run right.
too.
Can I just say very quickly, I really, really enjoyed this. It's been fantastic. And all of it, but also listening very intently with the conversation to do with death and that's the expansion of that. And what came for me, one of the strong things that came for me is the death while we're alive. It's a simultaneous happening and moment. There's things that we need to shed, say goodbye to, and that also moves in transformation, transition to other aspects and powers and things like that. So that brought it all, yeah, it was just very, very rich. And, okay, I had a little experience the other day, but I think with my big fat sandwiches, that's also, because it also sprays, but, I need to give that up, that, part of my habitual with that sometimes can dampen certain aspects of part of how you beautifully say, Aku, and I say this quite a lot as well within and occasionally outward as well. It's yes, there's all this going on and what have you, but it's what are we to do? What are each of us? What is my purpose? What's my part for me to participate with and for me to contribute with? That's my main focus. And so yeah, so that the death of certain habit practices that I have, that is kind of really hammering my health. And so that's kind of what came for me as well with the death while alive, that entwinement and that simultaneous invitation. Yeah,
Yes.
really great. Yeah, really enjoyed.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Greetings. I would also like to say thank you to, especially, the whole conversation was incredibly insightful. And at the end, I thought, how are you doing? When you said, hold lightly about certain things, it resonated with me because over the last 16, 17 months, a big person in my family transitioned. And it's kind of put a complete spin on my life, particularly. So it's like how to navigate certain things, what to take seriously, what not to take seriously. And sometimes I felt like I've overdone it in a respect. So yeah, and just really, it's really brilliant to hear.
Thank you.
Well, I feel
Thank
like
you,
I have
thank
to
you,
say
thank
thank
you.
you now because everybody else has said thank you. But I do want to say thank you anyway.
Thank you, Shirley.
It's
Thank
been a
you, thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you.
Always an amazing supporter and an amazing guest and yeah, and amazing friend. So thank you. And yeah, thank you everyone. It's been a really, really, really good one. And I'm super looking forward to Saturday because yeah, the experiences, talking about death, talking about our powers, talking about spirituality, we get to the heart of what it is to be human, and that's how I'd love it to be. So yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you, Yaw.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, see everyone on Saturday.
See you
And have an amazing day,
Saturday.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, yeah. Bye,
All right.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Yaw. Thank you, Aqua.